you'll get some people who say, as I don't have to tell you, but I'm just going to bring it out into the open, slavery was so long ago. Jim Crow was so long ago. Redlining was so long ago. Times have changed. When is it going to be time for, let's say, the Black community to just take responsibility and realize you have more opportunity now and plenty of opportunity to do what you want in life and be who you want to be?
And by the way, I want to highlight that not only do just white people say this, Black people say this as a critique of our own community. That critique has been said as though Black people are holding on to victim mentality. And that's not what's going on here. So a desire for equity and highlighting all of the instances throughout history where equity has been less than optimal is not holding on to a victim mentality. What we're trying to do is escape the victim mentality. What people are saying, and maybe I should quit saying we and say I. What I feel is that we're trying to move beyond that. And the way to move beyond that is to engender greater equality.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't paint people as victims and say, you know what, everyone's equal. You're going to have equal access to this good. Let's talk in economic terms. You're going to have equal access to this good and service, irrespective of race. Everyone gets it, right? And so if a person tries to come and say, well, I'm being victimized or whatever, depending on the context of that scenario, that's a hard argument to make. But it's an easier argument to make when it's obvious that there are some impediments to people based on race receiving the good or service.
Yeah. I think it's a tough trap to get out of, to have barriers that are baked into our society in some way. I mean, let me step back. I just don't know any situation in which we are wholly responsible for our destiny. I just don't. That isn't a combination of our personal actions and the context.
I mean, we're not. But we influence it. We're co-creators of it.
Exactly. So that being the case, let's say for all human beings, right? Talking about the circumstances or conditions that led to some outcome for my life does not mean that I'm not also acknowledging personal responsibility and what I need to do in my life, right? And what I think is a trap that I think that's problematic to me is when people think that you can't talk about context, that is really providing barriers because it means that all of a sudden you're a victim, right? And so you, not you, me, or anybody is therefore impeded by some barriers, still working hard, right, to overcome them, but impeded by them, but unable to talk about them because any talk of them means that I'm being judged or perceived to not be taking responsibility. I think that is a vicious trap that is uncalled for and unreasonable. Now, we can have reasonable differences about looking at some set of facts and saying to what degree are we responsible or not, or how much are certain barriers affecting us or not. I think there's reasonable disagreement to be had on the extent and level, and does it happen, more in some areas of the country or less in some areas of the country. There's plenty of nuance and discussion and debate to be had around that. But to outright say that any discussion of some sort of systematic barrier means that someone's not taking responsibility is, to me, just a trap. It's just a trap to not be able to change things that might actually exist in the context. And that I find very problematic. And so I empathize.
And I feel like that paradigm of thinking has been projected onto Black people with some things. So with respect to race and public policy, then where is the line? When do we start having the conversation? Okay, we say, okay, now the elephant is making noise and we need to deal with the elephant. Because it feels like in the US, we kick cans down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, to be perfectly frank, I think that's even more distant. I feel like if you can't have the conversation in your interpersonal life about race, when it does come up, the likelihood of getting you to a place of supporting policies that rectify racial issues, if you don't already support them, that is, is it's a long stride to get there. And so if you imagine someone who is white or black thinking about the inequities that exist without any sense of context of what that is really like and why there might be barriers beyond what we would think is fair for people based on the color of their skin, until they get a real sense that that actually does exist, it's going to be easy to just say, opportunity exists, people need to take responsibility for their own lives, people need to take advantage of the opportunities that they have, people need to stop blaming the context. It's easy to have another theory that, especially one that just keeps one in place, that keeps what exists in place, right? For someone who doesn't see a problem, who doesn't experience a problem, to understand that there's a problem, they need to fully see in that problem and say, oh, wow, I actually didn't really understand that. And it goes both ways. So I'm not going to speak for you, but I'll just throw it out to you for you to comment on whether I'm right or wrong. But it seemed like through the course of our conversation, as you understood more and more how little race and racial conversations were a part of my life, maybe you had some little increase, at least, of understanding of why I might be naive to certain things, not understand certain things, have taken longer to get to the point of maybe wanting to be a part of changing
that is true.
The state of race relations.
I've become less judgy about it because my first thought is, where's this dude been?
Yeah.
I've become less judgy about it too.
Just to know that this is just the experience that I had. And I think the same happens in the reverse, right? And it will certainly happen in the reverse. Me having no understanding that you carried around this deeply emotional self-protective mechanism on an ongoing basis, and that it affected little things in your life, like whether you're going to walk in your neighborhood.
Deeper than what I even realized myself, actually, as I talked it out with you.
Yeah. That then opened my eyes to, wow, I should have had that conversation with Andre a long time ago. Wow, I understand where he's coming from in some of his views around race in America based on having that feeling. So I just think it's hard. It's easy for people to rationalize. We all rationalize. It's easy to people to rationalize why things can stay the way they are if they seem okay for oneself. We're status quo oriented, like even in our personal lives, it's easy to stay with our habits, right? To change a habit, to become healthier or to become, more empathetic in our relationship or whatever changes we need to make. It's, it's much easier to just keep using the same routines and to maintaining the same habits as a human being.
And maybe that's why I wanted that's what I call psychological safety.
I think there is so to get back to your question on that, I think there is a psychological safety. And that's what I was trying to bring up around having the conversation. It's uncomfortable to have a conversation about race. Or it can be. I've found it enjoyable, but I can imagine that it's uncomfortable.
I often wonder, with respect to change, have things changed or have context just shifted, right? So if you're examining a problem, let's say it's an orb, have you really understood the problem, or have you just changed the orientation of the problem?
Mm-hmm. To make it look more palatable, is that what you're asking?
To make it look more palatable.
Right.
Or to make the appearance of, no, we've solved it. No, you didn't. You just changed the orientation of it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with racial profiling.
Yeah. So on the topic of racial profiling, yeah, that conversation has come up and then it's died down at different times and then it's come up. And whenever there are issues around crime and law and order, obviously those tools start to become part of the conversation, right? Those discriminatory tools become part of the conversation again. And so you're asking, is that motivation still there, right? Is that tendency to go toward these discriminatory practices just always lying beneath the surface? And when times are good, we don't need them. But when times, and so the issue looks like it's improving, but when times are not so good.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
That's exactly
what you're saying.
And maybe that's me having a fatalistic mind. I don't know. But that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm like, wait for the context to change, and then you'll see all this start happening again.
Yeah. My theory around it is I think that until we have a better understanding of each other's experiences and backgrounds, that give us a fuller view of what we each have to contend with, it's hard for me to see sustainable shifts. Hard for me to see sustainable shifts in attitudes, because people can always use other excuses or develop other theories of why things are the way they are. Thank you for watching this episode of Healing Race, and stay with us for a scene from our next video.
If you want to see more conversations like the one you just watched, please subscribe to our channel, share this video with friends and family, and like and comment on the video below.
If you'd like to be a guest on one of our episodes and have an open, real conversation about race, email us at guests@healingraceshow.com.
And if there are topics you think we should cover, we'd love to hear them. So please email your ideas to topics@healingraceshow.com.
As always, thanks for your support. We look forward to continuing the conversation with you. Now, here's a scene from our next Healing Race.
These people have been in white people, not say these people, white people have been in power from the day they landed on this country until today. Mm-hmm. And that's not an accident. That's not happenstance. So somebody somewhere is having a conversation about how to organize ourselves into longevity and into perpetuity. Mm-hmm. Like when someone may say that's not it's not, maybe I'm being, how would you say, paranoid or something like that. I'm like, I hear what you're saying, and I could take your point, because I'm not saying that's happening in every white household, mm-hmm. but in key white households, it's happened enough to keep them in power from the day they walked onto this land until today. Mm-hmm. And that's, like I said, that's not happenstance. That's deliberate. To watch the rest of that episode, go ahead and click the video below me.
To see a different compelling Healing Race episode, you can click the video below me. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.